Hey Guardians, Dr. Slev here. Witch Queen is just around the corner. At the time of this video, it is right about 2 weeks away. With Witch Queen obviously comes a whole new season, a ton of new content to play through, new weapons, new missions, and a new raid. But one of the things that I'm most excited about is the weapon crafting. So I wanted to take a few minutes and go through everything that we know so far about the future of weapon crafting in Destiny. If you've been keeping up with the weekly Bungie TWABs, you probably know a lot of this information. There are some other things that have come out since the TWAB posted on, what was it, February 3rd about weapon crafting. That's also going to be included in this video. But first things first, where do you craft? It doesn't look like it's going to be happening at the tower, although it might. There's a place called the Enclave that is being introduced in the Witch Queen. And early in the Witch Queen campaign, you'll be given quests that actually get you started down the road to crafting. In that mission, Guardians will uncover what they're calling the Deep Sight ability and be introduced to the Enclave, which is where you do your future crafting. So before you can go through and craft any of your own custom weapons, you'll have to craft a glaive first, which is part of the Witch Queen campaign. And I presume by doing missions through the Witch Queen, you'll eventually unlock all the parts necessary to craft the glaive, and then it'll open up to you being able to craft other weapons of your choosing. So after you play through, or at least get partially through the Witch Queen campaign, and you have crafted your first glaive, you'll start getting randomly rolled weapons that start to drop with a new ability called Deep Sight Resonance. Now, just like masterworked gear and weapons have a yellow border, weapons with Deep Sight Resonance are going to have a new red border in your inventory screen. And Deep Sight Resonance will be used to target specific traits to craft. So they use an example of if you find a Deep Sight Resonance legendary auto rifle with the Rampage perk, you can complete an objective and extract the essence of the perk to then craft a weapon with Rampage or another perk that increases damage. Bungie did go on to clarify that just like current weapons, not every pattern will be compatible with every trait. Bungie is also saying that crafting a legendary weapon from scratch isn't going to be super easy. You're going to have to do some grind with it, which in my opinion is a very good thing. You're going to have to find patterns, which they equated to weapon blueprints. You have to collect materials, and that'll just give you a starting point to build your weapon. After you craft your weapon, you'll have to do more to begin to unlock its full potential through combat. What I read from that is that you're going to have to do missions, kill a certain amount of enemies, maybe some certain other objectives, sort of like if you do a catalyst for an exotic. Something that I found really interesting about the weapon crafting is that you'll be able to level up specific traits as well to strengthen them a little bit. I don't really know what that entails, but I'm assuming it's something like if Rampage gives you a 10% buff after a kill and damage, if you have a level 2 Rampage, maybe you get a 12% buff, or a level 3 Rampage. I don't know how many levels there's going to be. You might even start as like kind of a less than standard Rampage. So a level 1 Rampage, instead of a 10% buff, is only a 5% buff. And then at level 5 Rampage, you get the full 10% buff. Nobody really knows yet, but it's an interesting system nonetheless. And Bungie further clarified that their goal through this weapon crafting system is to essentially have players that are more invested in a single weapon. Instead of farming a raid 50 times to get that perfect roll of whatever weapon you like, you can do specific missions for that weapon and build it exactly how you want. Therefore, you've invested time into getting that weapon exactly the way you want it. And in my opinion, it makes the time that you have invested into getting that weapon the way you want it a little more worthwhile than just grinding out the same dungeon 100 times, hoping that RNG blesses you. Even if you have to play or grind the same amount of time to fully level up your crafted weapon and get the perks that you want on it, as you would have had to do to get the RNG roll in a dungeon, you know that at the end of the day, you're going to get the roll you want because you're literally making it instead of just hoping. So it appears that weapon crafting is also going to cost a new currency. We're not sure how exactly you acquire that currency. My speculation is that since they're getting rid of the gunsmith components and weapon telemetries that you turn into Banshee at the tower, breaking down weapons is going to give you some other sort of currency. And I think that currency is what you're going to be using to craft these weapons. Furthermore, with the crafting system, and I really like this, Bungie decided that once you craft a weapon, you should be able to change it a little bit. Just because you crafted something doesn't mean you're locked into that build and have to start all over if you want to change it. You're giving us the option to reshape our weapons, where you can go back with a crafted weapon to the Enclave and basically change the perks around. It will cost some of whatever in-game currency they decide to use, but that's a really cool feature. You're not locked into your first impulse craft. So it wasn't really mentioned much in any of the briefings or videos that I've watched so far, but I don't know if you'll be able to change the frame that you choose for your certain weapon. You will be able to change the traits, they've confirmed that, but they've only ever said traits and perks. So the frame that you pick at the very beginning of your crafting might be what you get locked into for that particular pattern. And if you wanted to change from, say, a high impact frame to a lightweight frame, you might have to craft an entirely new weapon. You might not be able to just change that over. With this new crafting, theoretically, you could have one gun that you use for both PvE and PvP just by going through and reshaping it at the Enclave. So unless you really want to have two separate guns in your inventory, you can save some extra space in your vault, have one gun, and then just switch it up whenever you need to. Granted, it might be a little cumbersome to do that because you will probably have to stop whatever you're doing and go to the Enclave, spend the mats or the currency to reshape it, and then go about your business. And the next time you want, you got to go back and do the same thing. So we'll see, but it might be worth having two guns that you've crafted, one for PvP, one for PvE, but it may just be super easy and essentially inconsequential to have one gun that you just swap traits on whenever you need. Bungie did mention a brief little tidbit about being able to craft some exotic weapons going forward as well. They didn't dive too much into it, but it seems similar to legendary weapon crafting. You have to find their certain pattern, and they said it's more about fine-tuning something with a defined identity, because you're not going to be picking all of the traits and perks that you want on that exotic, because most exotics are pre-rolled. They did say, however, that you might have the ability on certain exotics to customize the barrel and the stock. Probably won't be able to customize all the traits, but you will get some level of customization to suit your play style. Okay, Guardians, that's all we have for crafting so far. It's kind of a little bit of a tease. We are getting little bits of information here and there. This is one of the features that I'm most excited about for Witch Queen. No more grinding endless dungeons to get the perfect roll. You'll just be able to go out there, find the pattern, and make whatever gun you want. That is awesome. I'm super looking forward to it. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also always catch me live on Twitch every Thursday night and Saturday and Sunday afternoons at twitch.tv/DrSlev. Thank you guys again. Be good to yourselves, and I'll see you next time.